Um, However, there was a year prior of writing with Victoria Hunt during COVID. Prior to that, there were old acquaintances, very old friends that appear in the film. So it's difficult to pinpoint an exact time that it started and finished, but 2.5 years. And the first screening of the film was in the community of Toconao a year ago in the football field. Toconao is a town of 600 people, and about 150 came, children, elderly, dogs. It was a big thing in the community. So that marked, I guess, the end of it. And that was a year ago. So 2.5 years plus a difficult to measure time before that. The crew is 7 people. As you can see, we shared a lot of the roles, so we repeat the names. Plus my eldest daughter that does the social media and her partner that does the graphic design. And 10 people in front of camera, so that's the very small crew behind the film.
Thank you for this really strong but also quite complex film in the way that you weave together different indigenous cosmologies with a scientific touch of more movement to Mars and starting a new world there. So my question is a bit going back to that tension we talked about earlier between the pluriverse and the universe. And here you show different indigenous groups with their own worlds and their fight against what is a dominant hegemony of exploitation in this world. At the same time, you have Mars there. Is that a sign of hope? And it is a question to you. Is this your vision that there is a possibility of starting anew in a different? I mean, you show us different opinions there. People thinking differently about going there, or maybe seeing it as part of the whole trajectory of human beings or life even on Earth. So directly asking to you, is this a utopian or dystopian vision of humankind's history and future? Because all those elements, there's a lot of different elements, so I can, which are different questions, but I just want to hear you on what is your main message.
Thank you for the question. I think the film has many messages. Some of them are coming from my heart, others coming from my gut, others coming from my head. Sometimes they contradict each other, sometimes they talk to each other. And the film is meant to have an open narrative for the audience also to make up their minds how they wish. Some people find it extremely dystopic, the film. A very close colleague that works in a museum in Australia asked me why the film doesn't have any humor, for instance. Others find it very utopic because it gives a glimpse that a different approach to humans living in outer space might be possible. And that is portrayed a little bit through the speculative fictional character of the Maori astrobiologist. To cut to the chase, I think I have a more dystopic perspective. I have written a book about outer space and about anti-colonial perspectives on space, and working with different scales, temporal and spatial scales in the film. It's also a critique of space colonization. The metaphor of the Atacama Desert as the ruins in the Atacama Desert after 200 years of mining and extraction of water is what most of space colonization is looking like at the moment. Many of the agencies and the space industry talk about sustainable exploration of outer space. I don't think that's going to be possible. Australia wants to position itself as leaders in sustainable mining in the moon, for instance. It's up to you to agree or not whether sustainable mining is possible or not. I think it's an oxymoron. So my heart is this topic. My gut tries to put a little bit of hope that there may be a possibility there might be a change. But the world in which we are living now is I don't know. I don't think anyone could have imagined COVID, genocide in Gaza. The world we are living now is not giving us the hope that we have the wisdom, the maturity as a species to go to outer space in a different way. That's a partial question to a very complex, a partial answer to a complex question. Thank you.
Thank you, Juan, for this very powerful film. Just carrying on from what also had asked, what was it in the research that you did for the film that in a way informed you about the cosmologies
Yep.
of the people there, and even the film before this, I think they are like they share kinship with each other
Yep.
in some ways. I was just curious to know that what is it that you are trying to convey to us from the cosmologies that you
Yep.
are depicting?
Yep, thank you. Again, I think there are multiple layers and there's stories within stories within stories within stories in the film. Some people stay in one layer, some people move across the layers, and that was meant to, again, for you to form an opinion in a way. So I am forming an opinion for you, but also allowing you to form your own opinion. Going back a little bit to the previous question, some of the hope is in the non-human elements in the film. So the rotifers that have been on Earth for billions of years, those microbial mats in the brine that reproduce asexually females, where they discard males only and use them only when they're needed, and then they discard them again. And the ecologist uses that as a story of her own life of resistance. I'm playing with those scales of the microscopic, and the microscopic is a cosmology in itself, or a cosmography, a way of drawing the cosmos, of describing the cosmos, of imagining, dreaming about the cosmos. That's what the title refers to as a play of words, of in the most literal way, drawing, mapping the cosmos, but then in a more profound way, giving you a glimpse of different cosmologies about the universe and the cosmos. There is at least 3 in the film. One is the Likanantai people that, according to archaeological record and their own history, they have been there for 13,000 years. They have adapted to the desert, and the stars are, as they explain a little bit, ancestral astronomers that, like many other cosmologists, tell about the seasons, the use of water, the connection between all elements, whether you can see them or not. And that's interweaved with a glimpse of Maori cosmologies, Pacific navigators that navigated through the Pacific looking at the stars. The personal history of Victoria Hunt, whose father was Maori, mother English, and other European ancestry, I think, heritage. And she started to learn about her Maori heritage when she was in her early 30s, when we were making the previous film 10 years ago. So a lot of the backstory of the fictional character is her own backstory. The filming in Whakarewa Rewa village in Rotorua is her village with her ancestors. So there's a paying homage, tribute to those forms of connecting to Matariki, which is the Pleiades, and the 7 stars that act as guardians, as you say. And then there's the cosmology of the scientists, not any kind of scientist, engaged scientist, politicized scientists. In Chile, you find a lot of the scientists are very political in their scientific practice. Adriana Aranguis, who is the ecologist that studies the rotifers, she works with women that are in jail. So she spends all the weekends of her life supporting women in jail. Millarca Valenzuela, who studies the meteorites, started to study the meteorites because her father took her to search for rocks when she was a little girl. And the father was searching for remains of his friends that disappeared during the dictatorship. But he never told her that when she was growing up. He told her that he was trying to find meteorites. So these scientific ways of understanding the cosmos, sometimes I critique them. I'm not anti-science in any way. I think there's also a tribute to science, but a very particular way of practicing science that is respectful of other knowledges, that is grounded, that is situated, that values situated knowledge, that understands the agency of other than human elements, but also a critique of how science, the military-industrial complex in which science is involved, also operates in the world. The ALMA Observatory that Chile rents 500 hectares to the European Space Agency, to the European, not just to the agency, but to a conglomerate of scientific institutions, universities. But movement is restricted, so indigenous communities cannot cross through ALMA territory, although it's part of the native claim of the Toconao community. And they need to move the animals to drink water, and they're trying to do land sovereignty and land justice by they're working together with the scientists, as you can see, trying to establish baselines of those high altitude salt flats that the Chilean government 2 years ago opened up for lithium exploration. And the communities want the lithium to remain in the main salt flat, but allow the high altitude salt flats to remain pristine as much as they can. So, sorry, I got a little bit lost from your question, but just to say that there's 3 entangled types of cosmologies. It's not like the anthropological description of one culture. The idea is to invite them to be in dialogue and fragments. So it's very fragmented. All the stories are fragments because the film is told as a diary. So the diary that Xue Nun, the astrobiologist, has written while she's dying on Mars. And dying means not dying. We have an expert here in the topic that is speaking later during the festival. She's becoming stardust again. And the spirit of the Taniwha, Kaitiaki. So Taniwha is a Maori powerful spirit, protector. Kaitiaki means a protector, a guardian. And Xue Nun slipstreams through space-time, not by using high-end technology, by slipstreams through space-time through a spirit, through an ancient spirit. So yes, I think there's some kinship with the previous film, but I also see profound differences. For instance, we were talking with Ton. One, this kind of obsession with coupling the future with technology. In the film, we try to decouple the future from technology. Why every time we talk about the future, we need like a very fancy spaceship or very fancy technology? What happens if we start thinking about the future with less technology? Wouldn't we be a bit better? Most likely. And the second one is how to decouple science fiction from special effects. And at the beginning, I wanted to do special effects, but then in conversations with Victoria, we said, why do we need special effects? Let's do in-camera effects through lenses, through manipulation of color, but without relying in special effects. Sorry, I went somewhere else, but it's the jet lag. Yeah. It's a privilege to be having a conversation at midnight. In Australia, it would be illegal. Everything after 9 is...
We once had a record 2 years ago. We left the cinema at 3 a.m. So we don't sleep here.
That's very nice. Although some people are rolling their eyes, thinking that we might stay until 3 a.m.
I can imagine everybody's tired.
Yep.
But I think this is a very sacred space.
Yep.
Because I guess we're all here because we share the passion and we share this dialogue, this wish for a dialogue.
Yep.
Of not seeing cultures as isolated entities anymore. I wonder why that happened in the first hand. So maybe about your gut and your heart. Would you agree that sometimes filmmaking can be a very intellectual endeavor? It's really deep in concepts and metaphors. But if you come back to the essence of it, what was that you were trying to do? In a very understandable few lines.
I was trying to make an anti-colonial film about space. And during that endeavor, other stories started to grow inside, alongside that first wish that I had. For instance, the story of the fisher community in Mejillones, how that is linked to lithium extraction, how lithium extraction, every phone that we're using depends on lithium, the space industry depends on lithium. So to make an anti-colonial film about space, I couldn't just make it about that. I wanted to show the infinite other things that could be related to that.
Any final questions?
The question that more complimented, it really reminded me it's a bit of talismanic, like all-encompassing attempt to...
Well, you made my day, my year, my decade with that comment. Yeah, I'm a huge fan of Terrence Malick. I wasn't really thinking about his films. I think the other filmmaker that I am profoundly a fan of is Chris Marker as well, and there's some tribute to that kind of filmmaker. But I'm really interested that for you it resembles something else. Thank you. That's I'm very honored. It's a million miles away from Terrence Malick, but I'll take the compliment.
So the good news is that Juan is with us for the next days.
Thank you.
So we can always talk to him. And any final comments?
Yeah, I think there was a message from Rudecindo Cristian Espíndola that appears. Rudecindo is the man that talks about he's been opposed to extractivism, and he's working in his father's land. There's too many things to say. Each of the hills of the mountains is an ancestor, and they're edited in a way that they match the person that is speaking. So from an indigenous filmmaking perspective, it would be a huge mistake to show any mountain with any person speaking. And he sent a message to you all that I translated this morning, that I sent to you this morning. So I would be happy to send you that message, because although there's an intellectual art form behind every film, this film was hugely collaborative and participatory from the beginning to the end. They are here with us today. Everyone was texting me while the film was on, and I was sending them pictures. And everyone in Chile was following the screening. So although it's intellectual and artistic, there's also a politically engaged film behind it that I hope transcends that other part. Thank you so much